Shalom. Well, it looks like we made the list. After so many years, so much effort not trying to be on anyone's radar, so much time and effort trying to do what's right for our people, we have made the list. The list I'm talking about is the list that the FBI has compiled of what they perceive to be threats, groups of concern that they should be monitoring and infiltrating, because they perceive that these groups will one day pose a grave threat to the nation. In the case of us, they are talking about black identity extremists being top of their priorities. We made it to the top of their minds. Black identity extremists. See, these people work with code. They'll say things, but you have to understand really what they're talking about. When they say black identity, they mean pro-black. And when they say extremists, they mean people who are not willing to play by the designated rules set for them. So black identity extremists basically means pro-black people who are not choosing to fall into the pattern that has been set up for them. An example of that would be a pro-black conservative, a pro-black, pro-Second Amendment person, a pro-black, anti-abortion individual. See, all those things represent the opposite of what they want us to be. If you're black, you're supposed to be pro-abortion. If you're black, you're supposed to be anti-gun. If you're black, you're supposed to be a liberal. So a pro-black conservative would basically be a black identity extremist in the minds of these people, in the minds of the FBI. So us Israelites, obviously we're pro-black. We're not black supremacists. We understand that we're flawed. We understand that the situation that we're in is because of our sins. We don't feel that the world owes us anything. We feel that we do have a land for us, but we don't feel that the whole world is ours. We don't feel that everyone else should be serving us. We don't feel that if another race has something that we want, that we have the right to take it from them because we're superior. We're people that believe in family. We believe in strong family structures. We believe in fixing the problems that plague slave-descended Israelites. We acknowledge the high crime rate amongst our people. And we understand what has to be done to fix that. Now, none of these things you would think would seem bad to anybody. But you got to understand the game that's being played here. You gotta understand what these creatures want from us. They don't want us to be independent. They don't want us to get right. They don't want us to fix ourselves. And they dang sure don't want us to find the Most High again. So anything that leads us towards that, I guarantee you, they will place it underneath their category called Black Identity Extremists. They are referring to the Israelite movement when they say that. No doubt. But the funny thing is that they go as far as to claim that the Black Identity Extremists represent a threat that has somehow, some way, eclipsed even Al-Qaeda. Pro-black groups in the minds of the FBI are a greater threat than the people who did 9/11, who knocked down 2 buildings, resulting in the death of a few thousand people. And those deaths are still coming because the people who had to clean that shit up, they dying now. So the people that have committed the worst terrorist attack in American history, we have somehow eclipsed them in the eyes of the FBI. If that's not true fear, I don't know what is. If that's not the manifestation of true bias, a mentality that suggests that no matter what some other group may do, you will always be first and foremost on our minds. I don't know what else it is. I don't know how else you can construe that. Now, some people may say, well, this is all happening because of Trump. This is underneath the Trump administration. Well, first of all, I do remember Trump and the FBI not getting along very well. You know, so I don't know about that. And this is not the first time we've been on the FBI's radar. Actually, that started back in 2011, I believe. Back then, they directly labeled Hebrew Israelite groups a hate group, putting us in the same category as the KKK. Once again, saying that we, as a group, are just as bad, if not worse, than other groups who have actually killed people because of their ideology, who have actually gone out, lynched, killed, conducted assassinations against people of the races and people of their own race who did not agree with them. We were placed on the same list as these people back in 2011. Now, that was underneath Obama. It's just now the FBI is saying that we apparently have grown. We've become more awakened, I guess. Well, so be it. But one thing I would like to stress is that every story comes to an end eventually. Every book closes eventually. And you can apply this concept to pretty much every aspect of existence. Even the sun will one day burn out. There is an end to all things. And there is also an end to the efforts used against us. There will be an end to the methods used to suppress us, used to throw us off track, used to intimidate us, used to frighten us. All that has an end too. So this FBI listing of black identity extremists is not a continuation of an old story. It is that story's swan song. Its epilogue. Its final act. Its ending. It will not go this way, this time, like it did last time. Last time we seen things like this before, back in the 60s and stuff like that. You know, Black Panthers started coming along. They started off on the right foot. They were just trying to, help black folk, good intentions. The government didn't want that. So they started spreading Black Panther hate propaganda. They created the infamous Black Panther coloring book, circulated that around to white people to get them afraid of the Black Panthers. And naturally, they know the psychology of white people. They know that white people love them some cops because they see the cops as their last line of defense against everyone, basically. So, in the Black Panther coloring book, there were depictions of black people killing cops. It's got a lot of white people all hot and bothered. And those that may have been supporting the Black Panthers at first because they saw nothing but good intentions, when that black coloring book got out, they withdrew their support real quick. The infamous COINTELPRO. Like I said, this is a method that has been used before. This is not new. This is an old story, a tired one as well. Everything, we got to remember, everything, these people work like a machine, like a row of dominoes. When you tip over one domino, it causes a chain reaction that results in a line of dominoes falling over. That's how they work. So they throw out that, and first of all, they say they leaked, this memo was a leak. No, it was not a leak. Things like this are purposely let out so that the information can get around. That serves two purposes. One, it is to scare those of us that are on the pro-black trend, that are outside of our designated black lane, to get back in line. Oh, look, the FBI got their eye on you. That's step one. Step two is for the white people and non-white people to be made aware of the black identity extremists. Okay? This is all the setup. The next step is obviously a kinetic action. So expect a terrorist attack, expect a mass shooting to be conducted by either one or more blacks, and expect these individuals to be part of a never before heard of pro-black group. I doubt they'll say that they're part of that they're Hebrew Israelites. I don't think they have the nerve to say that. You know, I do believe that there's rules in place. There's certain things that these people can't do, because if that was the case, they would have done this a long time ago. So I think there's certain things, you know, it's kind of like walking on eggshells. They kind of take, you know, they're kind of careful around certain things, you know. So these people will be part of some type of, these terrorists, these mass shooters will be part of some kind of pro-black group, never before heard of until the incident. They'll be spouting their, of course, their pro-black propaganda. But I also think that they'll have a little twist to it as well. They'll probably also have a spiritual edge to them too. You know, they'll try to get as close as possible to saying that these people are basically Hebrew Israelites as they can. You know, they're pro-black, they believe in a higher power, but some kind of extremist view that they think gives them the right to kill people indiscriminately. That'll be the story. See, stuff like this does not come out. Like I said, this is not a link. This is not a leak. This is a reveal. This is kind of like a press release that you don't want to see, want people to think is a press release. So you say it's a leak. Oh, that got out. We didn't intend that to get out. Yeah, right. So they staged the event. Then they hope that creates this bad narrative amongst any pro-black groups with any kind of religious leanings to them. So obviously that's to scare away as many black people as possible from their Israelite heritage. It's the same thing they did with the Panthers. Not only did white people pull their support from the Black Panthers when the militant propaganda started going around, but other black people pulled their support as well. They didn't want to be associated with the Black Panthers, you know? So they're going to try the same thing again with us. You know it's coming. And the memo also states that they're also going to attempt to infiltrate and use undercover techniques to mitigate threats posed by these groups. This is not something that they're going to do. They already did this. This is why I do not recommend us getting involved with these Israelite groups. I do not recommend us getting involved. I do not recommend us making this a group or organization type effort. This is because it's not that. It's not that. This is a bloodline. It don't matter what you think. You're part of the bloodline. The only question is do you accept it? That's it. If you're descendant of the slaves that were brought over here, then chances are highly that you are of the line of Israel, of Judah. I mean, of Israel. So it doesn't matter if you are part of what group or whatever, you know, that is not what's making you an Israelite. Your blood makes you an Israelite. That's what you are from the very beginning. So these groups, not that they all have bad intentions, but the problem is the way these people work, the way these Gentiles work, they always either attack the enemy, the leader. So they know that there needs to be a leader, and these groups always have leaders. So they attack the leaders, you know, they infiltrate and manipulate the leaders, or they take them out, you know. So that's why we have to stay away from the group think. We have to just do this on our own, each and every one of us, you know. This is like just getting to know yourself. So they want to infiltrate these groups, And like I said, they're saying that this is something that they want to do or that they plan to do, but this is something that they've already done. I have no doubt that these Hebrew Israelite groups have compromised individuals in them. People who have been gotten to. You know, they especially prey on people who have past criminal convictions, as they state in this memo, exploiting individuals with felony status. So yeah, if you're part of the Israelite group and you know Justin has some prior convictions, they got something on Justin. See what I'm saying? You know, they'll offer Justin something, you know, to, you know, get off, you know, somehow lessen his record, you know, get something taken off his record or something like that. That's a handicap. They look for the people like that, you know, and they manipulate them. That's another reason, like I said, these groups, man, you got to watch out for them. That's exactly what they look for. They love them some groups. It's far easier to manipulate people who are part of a group than for people that manipulate people who are just doing things on their own. So, but yeah, that's where we're at now. They don't come right out and say, like I said, Hebrew Israelites. They don't come right out and say that, but that's who they're, you know, black identity extremists, you know, that's judging by the hate group memo that was released back in 2011, where they identified Hebrew Israelites as a hate group. You already know that, you know, you've been upgraded now to a black identity extremist. You know, you already know that. And mark my words, they will stage something. They will stage a mass shooting. They will stage or maybe it'll be a bombing or something. And like I said, it's going to be attributed to some kind of black group that you ain't never heard of before. You know, and these people are going to have very similar talking points to what we Israelites are talking about. Yeah. Like I said, they may not have the exact same talking points, but they'll have very similar talking points. You know. They're desperate. They're trying to get as many of us to jump off track as possible. But like I said, I see this as their swan song. I see this as their ending, their last trick. Like I said, every story has to end. And this is a story that has grown quite old and is due to end. It's a tiresome story. We've seen this too many times. We've seen good intentioned black people get attacked, get manipulated, get killed by various government sanctioned agencies because they made the mistake of trying to help their people. They made the mistake of trying to fix an obvious problem. Perhaps they were just ahead of their time. But now that we're at the 400-year mark, those of us that are trying to do the same thing now, there ain't no way we're ahead of our time now. We're right on time. So logic dictates that all efforts against us will not be quite as successful as they were last time. You know, the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, you know. Nah, it ain't gonna go down like that this time. This time we'll see what happens when such people don't get assassinated. We'll see what could have been. So according to the memo, the threat guidance document, Black identity extremists are those who use force or violence in violation of criminal law in response to perceived racism and injustice in American society. The files claim some Black identity extremists acted in hopes of establishing a separate Black homeland or autonomous Black social institutions, communities, or governing organizations within the USA. Well, that brings me to another point. Something else that's come to my attention, and I think it's kind of bugging me. It's this notion, this asinine notion that the true Israel is America. That we should not be clamoring to go back to the Middle East or whatever. That America is Israel. I mean, this belief literally requires you to throw the Bible in the garbage in order to believe, because there's no aspect of the story of our ancestors in the Book of Remembrance that can even possibly support this theory. Yet there are some of us that want to believe this. And some of us that do believe this actually go as far as believing that it is their duty, i.e. the Israelites' duty, to cleanse the land. To cleanse the land of the sins that were committed by the Gentiles against us on this land. So basically, this is kind of a roundabout way calling for racial violence against, the Gentiles, against whites. So you got that ass. So, those of you who are hearing that, those of you who are, Most High Yahweh forbid, believing that, you gotta understand, I do believe you're being set up. Because this FBI memo coming out now, around the same time that I'm noticing this growing belief that America is Israel. It's not a coincidence. So they might be attempting to claim, after whatever this false flag attack that they decided to conduct, they might be attempting to claim that, yes, this was the Hebrew Israelites. It was the Israelites that believed that America is truly Israel. And they got to attacking people, believing that they had to cleanse the land of the sins of the Gentiles. Pieces start to kind of line up. I was wondering why that notion was being circulated around via some supposed Israelites on YouTube. And maybe now the release of this FBI memo is showing me why. The pieces being put into place. I guarantee you, those Israelites that talk that shit, if something does go down, it's going to be their YouTube channels that get cited as reference. It's going to be their YouTube channels that you see on CNN saying, "Ooh, see this particular person believes themselves to be a Hebrew Israelite. See, he was talking about, killing the Gentiles. You got to cleanse the land." You see what I'm saying? You see, the Most High will show you the steps these freaks are making or trying to make. You just have to pay attention. And then you also have to stop believing in coincidence. It ain't no damn coincidence. Like I keep on saying, timing is everything. So yeah, we're on the map now. We've been made famous. We beat out Al-Qaeda without killing a single person. Hell, Al-Qaeda had to knock down 2 buildings, cause a never-ending war in the Middle East, and yet still, we beat them out. Yeah. Desperate times. But they say desperate people do desperate things. But there's one more thing that happens when people are desperate. They make terrible mistakes. And I do believe messing with us this time around is the worst mistake that they could ever make. Shalom.